I think we are going to go into executive session with, but I think we can probably go with the floodplain permit report first before we go into executive session with the assistant prosecutor.
All right, good evening all. Since last I spoke with you, we've had a total of...
Hold on, just,
Go ahead.
that's all right. We'll take a,
Go ahead. I can hear you out here.
I'll talk loud.
You go ahead.
Okay, we've had a total of 13 new applications, 10 of those being outside the floodplain, 3 of those in. The 3 that are in the floodplain is 15-348 for Antero Resources. That is the Nutter Fork Road CR28 upgrade. They're going to be doing upgrades, numerous upgrades on that road. We also have, and we talked about this already, the Doddridge County Parks via Thrasher Engineering put in an application for the construction of the County Park Bridge. So that's now within the pipeline as well. The last one, Tammy and Mariana will be interested in this one. JB Oil and Gas for the low water crossing. They finally officially put in a request to fully remove that low water bridge that has been damaged and is just
on Route 23?
That's correct. That's correct. So that one's in the pipeline as well. They're awaiting a muscle study on that one, which they say should be done in May. And then their plans is to get it out before fall. So that's what they're dealing with. So that was 10 out, 3 in. As far as approved, there were 13 that were approved as well. That includes the 10 that came in that were out of the floodplain, as well as 3 older ones. The older ones that were approved were 14-330, which is for Waco Oil and Gas Company. That's the South Fork Hughes River Storage Yard, which was the basically putting the storage yard back in at a site of a previously reclaimed storage yard. So that one's been approved. 15-332, Crestwood Marcellus Midstream LLC, the TAR 13 and 14 permanent bridge. That's a removal of an existing temporary bridge across Greenbrier Creek with the replacement of a permanent 14-by-60 bridge. And for those of you who have the reports, please strike the last line, awaiting additional permit approvals from other regulatory agencies. Those have all been received. I forgot to eliminate that when I transferred the data over from the other report. And the last one was 15-340. Antero Resources was the Marsden Slip Access Road. And that was for they had a slip and they needed to go in and do a repair on that. And so that was, again, same thing with that one. The last line, awaiting additional permit approvals from other regulatory agencies. Those have all been received and that project was approved. So those are the only ones that were in the floodplain that were approved this time. We have 8 in the floodplain that are still pending. 14-255, 273, 313, 325, 334, 348, 350, and 352, which 350 and 352 were the ones that I just talked about. The County Park Bridge and the low water crossing removal for JB Oil and Gas. 14-300 from Dominion. That was a long-run TAP project in the Grant District. That has now been pulled by Dominion. They never took action on it. I contacted them, and they said we no longer wish to pursue that project. So that one's been pulled. And other than that, that is it for the floodplain report itself.
Would you, I think Mr. Sandora was out of the, would you tell him about 15-352 JB Oil and Gas, low water?
Yeah, sure. JB finally officially submitted on April 10th, submitted a permit request to go ahead and get that low water bridge out and get it removed. So that was the issue that Tammy and Mariana were engaged with, and so they are in the process. There's a mussel study being done on the river.
Oh, we can't move mussels, right?
Well, it depends on what the mussel study says. So if the study comes back positive, then they've got some additional hurdles to overcome. But they're looking for before fall to have that out and totally removed. So that won't be an issue anymore.
Okay. Anything further on the other bridge on Big Bend?
Nothing. Nothing as of yet. The only other thing that I have to do is we're changing policies a little bit within the floodplain office. This should have been done a long time ago, and it wasn't. We've come to a point now to where it's become fairly necessary. We're implementing a Freedom of Information request policy for viewing of any of the floodplain files. And this is because there's personal information that is included within the files, such as personal addresses for landowners and adjacent landowners and things like that, that really shouldn't be made available to just the general public. In order for us to be able to, the current policy was that anybody that come in requested, they got immediate access to the files. Now what we're doing is we're implementing a waiting period so that myself or the assistant have the opportunity to review those files, go through those files, dedact or redact any pertinent personal information that's within those files, or any other information that we feel that is of a personal nature, and then we'll give access to the files within 5 days. So we created a log for all of the requests. The applicant will date it, sign it, provide their name, address, phone number, and email, the specific reasons for the request for the files and the file that they're requesting, and then we'll go through our process of either saying yes or saying no if the request is invalid. So this is a new policy. It in no way inhibits folks from viewing the files. It gives us the opportunity to actually do our due diligence and make sure that we're protecting private information.
Whenever the floodplain ordinance was set up and voted on, everything that was done within that had to be approved by FEMA at the federal level. If there was a piece of it that people didn't like and wanted to strike out, or stuff that wanted to be put in, Mr. Sneed and the people from the feds that were down here would say, oh no, we can't do this. So how can you, on your own, change the floodplain ordinance without the approvals on up the line? And if addresses, names, and all those things that you're listing is supposed to be private, then why can you go downstairs in the tax office and get the names and addresses? Get the names and addresses off of deeds and recorded documents. I thought it was only social security numbers that you need to worry about.
Now, in just a moment. In the first place, you didn't ask to be recognized.
Well, he recognized me, I'm sorry.
But anyway, go ahead.
This is not in any way changing the ordinance itself. This is an internal policy decision
That is
in the
in the
management of the program itself. I did not see it as a change to the ordinance. The commission has not, and neither has council. So we have to be able to deal with the internal workings of our programs in a way that we feel is consistent. This is not in any way restricting access to data. It is allowing us to do our due diligence and make sure that any data that shouldn't be out there isn't out there. Any further questions?
Okay.
Okay. I can give you updates on other pending litigation if you want to, but we probably should take that into executive.
Yes. This concludes the regular business other than budget revisions, payroll, and exonerations, and us signing the invoices. If anyone wants to stay for that, you're more than welcome. But we will be going into executive session with our assistant prosecutor, and during executive sessions, all recording equipment must be removed, and that means everything. So,
What do you mean by does this have to go to?
Yes. It's all gotta go.
My God, in here. Okay.
Yeah, because I called the check before yet, when it, it's been a while.